Welcome back to the boat shop. Today is March 13th of 2024, and I haven't been doing just a whole lot of work on the boat. I think, as I mentioned, I was going to do a little shop cleanup and reorganizing after I got the plywood on this side of the boat, which is done now. Well, mostly done. Got to pull these screws here out and countersink and then put new permanent screws in there. But anyway, this side is done. So I have been reorganizing the shop. I've been starting to clean up, move things. All the plywood and wood that was over here, I got moved out. I needed to do that to give me room to get my scaffolding along in here. I still got more work to do, but yeah, I got a lot of stuff picked up and cleaned up already. But one thing I wanted to talk about first is I got a question on my on one of the videos that I'd posted on YouTube, and they were asking about the plans for the boat. If George Bueller's, the designer, his widow, if she was still selling the plans for the boats. And the answer to that, the short answer is yes, or at least she was when I started this project. But here's what I wanted to talk about, and I've wanted to mention this for some time, but just have never had the opportunity or whatever to do it, or never thought to do it. George has got a lot of different boat designs out there. You can buy the plans. They're on the internet. Hopefully Gail continues selling them. If not, what I'd like to see would be maybe if some young boat designer, naval architect, would pick up the torch there and continue, working on these plans, maybe refining them, selling them, work out some deal with Gail. I don't know, but hopefully in one form or another the plans live on. But on the 48 specifically, there's some things that led me to choose the 48, or not to choose the 48, but how I went about with the plans on this boat. He has got plans for a bunch of different boats in the back of his books. And on his newest version, he had the plans for the Duck 48 in here. And he said in the book that the plans were complete. There's nothing you weren't getting. They were all here. Everything you needed to build the boat was here. But if you bought the plans, you would also get him as a consultant. The plans are like $1,800 or $1,900. I don't know, somewhere in there. And that, money would be well spent if you had George at your, on your speed dial, so to speak. But of course, George had passed away by the time I was getting to this point, and he was not available then for consulting. So since the plans were complete in his book, and he said just to use the plans out of the back of his book, and you could take them to Kinko's or whatever and have them blown up, and you'd have a full set of plans. And that's what I did. I scanned these. I cut the pages out of the book, scanned these into my computer, enlarged them, and I have a large format printer, like an 11 by 17 printer, and I just printed them off and stitched them together and had the plans. I would have loved to have supported, Gail and paid for the plans, but without him as a consultant then for that money, it just didn't seem like it was worth it to me. Also, a lot of his plans, he has digital CAD drawings available, that come with the plans. Had the Duck 48 had digital plans, had CAD drawings with it, I would have spent the money on it, because I think that really would have been handy. But he had never gotten around to doing the 48 in CAD, so that wasn't an option. But otherwise, all of these are here in the back of his book. In his newest book. Now, the original version of the book, he had some plans in there, but not as many. He didn't have the 48 in there. I suppose the 48 hadn't been designed yet then. So the old book, there isn't a whole lot of difference in these two books, quite frankly. I mean, I was you know, went mostly by the new book, but once in a while I'd go to the old book and just see what was different in there, and there wasn't a whole lot of differences in there. But the fact that this had the 48 in there, in the newer version of the book, yeah, that was highly beneficial. So, in the end, if somebody wants to build a 48, yeah, buy the book, and you know, you won't have George there to, you know, to answer questions and whatnot. But the plans are in here, and boy, that sure makes this book worth the, I don't know, whatever it costs, $30, I suppose, or whatever. But yeah, well worth buying the book. And the plans in the back are fantastic, and they are complete. You just need to blow them up. Now, I haven't been pulling my plans out a whole lot lately because I'm just at the point where I don't need the plans all the time. And frankly, they're getting a little ratty now, too. They've been floating around the workshop here for so long that they're getting pretty. And the cats like to use them as a bed, and you know. So, but here you can see, here they are, blown up to their largest size, which was 3 sheets of whatever that is, 11 by 17. And then I've got a bunch of copies of just 11 by 17s too, which for the most part are adequate too. You don't really need to have them as big as what these are drawn out as, although it is handy sometimes. Like I said, I don't reference these much anymore. When I get around to putting the pilot house on, I'll probably give them a little bit of attention again, but yeah. So, yeah, that's the deal on the plans. On the 48 anyway, they're in the back of his newest book, the newest version of his book. And you can buy the full printed plans, but you're going to get exactly what I've got here, just printed out for you. So yeah. Like I said, I really wish that there had been a digital copy of those plans, and I would have gone that way. And he's got newer versions of the 48, or different versions of the 48. He called them the Evolution, with a flat transom, so you could put like a swim platform on the back of it, with admittedly poorer seakeeping abilities. But, you know, some people don't intend to cross oceans with their 48s, and if you're not crossing oceans, then there's certain aspects of this design that you really don't need. The other versions of this would make it more practical. And then they had the walkthrough version, which, you know, you could have done here too, but I just, looking at the plans, by the walkthrough version, I mean, you had a narrower engine room, and you had a passageway on one side of the boat, so you could go all the way from forward to the aft cabin, just walking straight through on, you know, below deck, which would be nice. And I thought about trying to incorporate that into my design, but yeah, in a steel boat it makes more sense. In a wood boat it was going to be kind of hard to do. So I ended up not doing it, just going with the original drawings. And again, the seakeeping abilities of the original design were a lot better. And really, the only thing I've done in here, other than a little more cleaning up, is I mounted this, or I made a shelf for the microwave up here. And that was more just to get it out of the way than anything else. Yeah, see there, the microwave is up there. And what I'm going to do is I've marked under here where those feet go, and I'm going to drill through there and take those feet out, or the screw out anyway, and put a longer screw up in through here to hold this in place. Probably when we're at sea, I'll put a strap, have a strap or a bungee, or really stiff bungee or something that goes around this too to help hold it in place. But anyway, yeah, got that thing out of the way and got it mounted where it's going to go permanently. So yeah, other than that, like I said, I haven't really been doing anything else up here. Got this done, and yeah, I've been thinking more about the exhaust again here lately. I was looking at commercially made fiberglass exhaust parts, because I need to make myself some fiberglass exhaust pieces. And that gooseneck at the top was kind of a problem. How do you make a 180-degree turn in fiberglass? You know, you need a mandrel of some sort to do that. And anyway, commercially what they sell is just a piece coming up, then they got a 45 in, then they got a straight piece, then they got a 45, and they got another straight piece going down. And they just then glassed over everything. So yeah, I guess I could do that too. That made sense. But there's another little project I wanted to do before I start doing more fiberglassing, or fiberglassing to any extent anyway. That is, I wanted to make myself a cart that has a table, a rolling table on it, and that will dispense my fiberglass cloth. You know, something like this, only, you know, just a 4-foot, like a 4x8 sheet of plywood on a cart that has some bearings on it, and I ordered some bearings so I can put some pipes across there and smoothly roll the glass cloth off. This is just sitting on here, and this is, you can't really roll it off. You have to manually move the whole roll over, and then unroll it a little bit, move it and unroll it. So it's a little unhandy, and then of course you need to roll this thing up to something to do that. And so if I just build myself a table with wheels under it that has, you know, some arms, then I could put 2 or 3 different fabrics or cloth, fiberglass cloth types on there. And then I would have this one back available again to use as scaffolding. So that's what one of the other things I'm going to do. But I need to get my lathe out of this shed right over here. This bay here that's closest to me, this little extension I got on the back here, this thing that's not painted or put steel on it. That's where my lathe is. And I got a whole bunch of garbage inside there. Wood cut-offs and plywood that was used for packing material, and you know, I hate to throw anything away, so I got all that stuff that's in the way now, plus a tractor that hasn't run in a couple of years. So I'm working on getting that shed cleaned out so I can get at my metal lathe. I'd like to move it back into my garage where I got my metal shop and get it functional again, because I got some projects I'd like to do with that metal lathe. And then I got all this stuff, like there, look at that pile of cut-offs from plywood. I mean, once in a while you use a little piece of that, but, you know, and then I got all this stuff I got to find a home for. And I piled up most of my big pieces of plywood over here. I got my sheets of plywood here, full sheets here, and then the longer pieces that were cut-offs here. So that's still going to need to be something else done with it too, because I can't get at my full sheets of plywood with all that little stuff on there. And I still got more plywood back here, and I've just started getting this cleaned out. I had some plywood here on a couple of sawhorses, and then I had all this 2x6 material on a couple of sawhorses there. I got that moved up here. So yeah, I'm getting things organized a little bit better. Or trying to get things organized a little bit better. So we'll see. But I got a ways to go in here yet, and then I got a long ways to go in that building over there to get my metal lathe out of there. But yeah. So we just keep plugging away. Weather's been nice. You can see here again today we got the door open, so it's, you know, 60+ degrees out there today, which is good. But anyway, that was one of the things I wanted to mention, was the plans and how I went about that, and why I did what I did there. And I hope that answers the question that the gentleman had on the video site there. So that'll be my update for today.